Hey guys, and welcome back to FTB Interactions. Last time we expanded upon our blast furnaces here in order to create the materials we need for the Aurelia Artifact. This also involved killing the Gaia Guardian for the Gaia Spirits. And at the beginning of last episode, we also set up the last of our ore processing to give us the full 64x yield on each ore. However, there was one thing that we were missing, and that was to automate this Essentia Smeltery. I just actually got finished automating this, and I changed it up slightly, so let me show you exactly what's changed here. So before we were storing the Essentia in an ME system that was here, a subnet, I've changed that out to just use the voided jars. And what we're doing now is reading a comparator signal, compared with a signal strength of 3. And the redstone here is connected to conduits on these small chests with the cookies and the redstone that we're melting. So again, the cookies come from this crafter here, which gets inputted in the bottom in this chest. And the redstone comes from our main ME system from the interface back here. So these conduits are set on extract without a signal. So when the jar is empty enough, it seems to store about 60 potentia and 40 desiderium. Which is fine, we don't need to be precise with this stuff, it's just so we're not wasting excess resources. So when the jar is low, this will turn off the redstone signal and the items will go from these two chests into the Essentia Smeltery. And I've got a limited item filter here just so that it only puts one in at a time. As well as some extract speed downgrades, just to slow things down a bit. And also to power the smeltery, we're just using charcoal since we have thousands of that stuff, so that's also just coming from our main ME system and just getting output on the bottom conduit down there. And I've also swapped out the Essentia transfuser that used to sit in this block space, and we're now just using a Essentia mirror, which is hooked up to the other one above the crucible here. And as I mentioned last time, I also crafted these mnemonic matrices. This allows you to remember more crafts, so we have 7 available, which means we can select 7 different resources at once, and I think we can fit a few more on the back if we need to. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this system turned out. It means we don't have to worry about anything here, except maybe this input or the output buffer getting too full. But that should clean itself up once we upgrade this ore processing. So yeah, we can turn this back on for platinum clusters. And we're going to see that it's going to turn it into the native platinum clusters. It's getting all the aspects, I think, from the mirror. I think maybe one of the jars is in range, and I think this desiderium is not in range, so yeah, it takes it from the mirror. But as you can see, the redstone signal turns itself on and off. And yeah, it seems to be working well from what I've tested so far. But yeah, on to what we're doing today, which is visiting Aurelia. So let's start this craft off. I have a feeling this may take a while. This is 12 million RF. And I think our conduits are still the basic tier. So yeah, I'll be back when this is done. Alright, almost there. It's in the crafting stage. And we have it, the Aurelia Artifact. Let's claim our trophy. So with this, I assume we have to go to our space station and then warp it to Aurelia. Or at least in orbit of Aurelia. Before we can visit Aurelia though, we're going to need a rocket back on our space station to get from our space station down to the planet. So we're going to swap out our planet ID chip for the space station. And since we're still orbiting Euclides Prime, we can just go straight to the station. And we do have enough fuel in here, so yeah, I'll see you back on the space station and then we'll warp to Aurelia. Of course, we can still get back here easily with our Celestial Gateway, so I'm sure this won't be the last time we're on Euclides, but it's the last time our rocket will be, so yeah. Hopefully we land safely back on our space station here. Does look a bit funny with with the skybox flipped upside down. Alright, our rocket is back. Just made it on the edge of the platform there. But let's, before I forget, give it some rocket fuel. Oh, that actually took it all, wow. So now that we have a means of getting down to the planet, let's actually warp, well, first of all, discover the Aurelia, which means we have to put in the artifact. And then we should be able to just select a destination. I think Zola is what we want. Yeah, Aurelia, this is what we want. It says it's going to cost 500 dilithium, we have 1,000. So I guess, yeah, let's do it, let's warp. Oh, no achievement this time though. Haha, we made it. And yeah, as you can see, we are orbiting a black hole. I believe that is what Zola is, although it is flipped upside down. Or at least our space station is here. I noticed that our laser drill had stopped also, so I'm not actually sure how to reset this. But yeah, now that we're orbiting the planet, let's go down and check it out. So we're going to put a fresh planet ID chip in, inside the guidance computer. We'll take our space station one out. We absolutely want to keep this. And then we're going to select Aurelia as our destination. We're fully fueled and we have oxygen in our spacesuit. So let's see what awaits us on this planet then. I do have a fresh celestial gateway so that we can teleport back to, well, anywhere else really. But yeah, I'll see you when we land. And hopefully no deaths like the Euclides little incident that we had a few episodes ago. Alright, we are coming in hot for landing here. It seems like we're going really fast, aren't we? Well, this is interesting to say the least. Very cool looking planet though. Alright, we made it to Aurelia. Let me off before that creeper blows up my rocket. Let's first of all mark our rocket here. And we will also build our celestial gateway, first of all, just in case. Alright, so we got a way back when we need it. Let's check out what's on here. I wonder what these blocks are here. This is crystal blocks. Oh, is this the same as what we get from our orbital miner? Yeah, it looks like it. Alright, that's pretty cool. What I want to see though is if we can find a dungeon. Is that what these are? Oh yeah, I think it is a dungeon. Oh, and this is red matter. Which apparently we can't break though. Alright, we're definitely going to check out that dungeon though. But first of all, I want to grab the storage scanner, which I think I left back at the base. So yeah, we'll be back. Alright, I think we're ready to go dungeon crawling. I got the storage scanner, Spectre coil, and some way to store the items. So let's go check out what this dungeon holds. Unfortunately though, after respecing my astral perks, I no longer have night vision. So I I put it on these goggles of revealing so we can just swap out our helmet. Actually, no we can't. We don't have airtight seal, do we? Well, I guess we're doing torches then. Interesting that there's packed ice mixed in here. I thought this was supposed to be a hot planet. Anyways, let's see what kind of loot we've got. Translocator. Oh, a 0-point matrix. What does this do? Apparently it gives us Naquada. I assume we need this stuff, so that's a good first find. Also, the gravity here is very strange. We can't even make it up a full block. We have to actually fly up. It's going to take some getting used to. Looks like here we do also get the draconic cores, but nothing else yet so far. Oh, we got a few more creative items, another few modifiers, and a creative capacitor apparently for cyberware. How difficult is this thing to make? I mean, I guess it takes neutronium. We don't have this yet, so... Although I have no idea how to use this mod, so maybe we'll look into it though. Another creative item apparently. Again, I'm not familiar with open computers, so I don't know how useful this will be. Oh, check it out, we got neutronium here. And another blueprint. For a full nuclear fission chamber. Man, I didn't know we could get neutronium straight up. Man, this dungeon is huge. I don't know if you can see on the map there. I don't even think I'm a fifth of the way through this thing. Very interesting generation on this planet as well. My tunnel when I was scanning led me out here. And I really like the look of these blocks. What are these? Oh, it's just basalt blocks. Let's see what we got in the chest though. Nothing. 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 64k components, I'll take those. Alright, so I went through the whole dungeon and this is about what we got. There's some really good stuff in here. And it was well worth checking out that dungeon. I think probably I'll go to a few more tonight as well. But first of all, I want to check out what sort of ores we can find on Aurelia. Apparently we have dragons here. Let's see if we can get them here. We have our good bow on us, so... I don't know if these guys have been buffed though in terms of HP. Okay, 4 hit. This is a little bit too strong on this bow. I wonder what his chests have got for us. Just some gold and iron. Nothing really. As for the ores, we actually have thorium here as well as uranium 235. And 238 it looks like. And 235 is what we need to use to power the photofission nuclear chamber. This thing. Which produces a ton of steam. And then from that we can burn it in the new generator that we just found in the dungeon. Which I think is what we're going to be doing for next tier power. So I'm going to grab up all of this ore here. That uranium vein was huge, and I actually left some of it behind. I did waypoint it, but right next to it is this Naquada ore. And looks like we got some enriched mixed in with it as well. May as well grab some of this while we're here. The third ore vein we got here is some wolfenite and molybdenite. I'll take some of this. Should we wake the dragon? I don't know. He's asleep again. Alright, and we are back at the base here. It's actually the next day for me, and last night I did go and clear out another dungeon. I got more or less the same stuff, but I also did find a palladium, iridium and platinum ore there on Aurelia. A lot of the stuff from the dungeon I've already put away in the ME system, but all of these ores will have to be processed. However, our ore processing system, as you can see, is just completely backed up here. Our machines are not running fast enough, and there's improper ratios here of machines. However, to upgrade that, we're going to need a better power source. These EV diesel generators are fine for what we have, but we definitely have to look at some upgrades. So upgrading our power means we can upgrade our ore processing. I'm not sure if we're going to keep it at EV tier, or if we'll switch these out for IV machines. But in terms of power options, I think we're going to go for this Uranium Hexafluoride. Since we were able to get lots and lots of uranium ore from Aurelia, we can always get more as well, it's very plentiful. But the process for this involves some chemical reactions, and then we have to run this through the photonuclear fission chamber. This is going to give us large amounts of steam, which we're then going to burn in the steam turbine here. And the quest book recommends we need multiple of these steam turbines. But before we look into the system, there's a few little projects I'd like to clean up first of all. So last night I also moved the multi-smelter, and he now sits just next to our other auto crafting machines here. We're running this at EV tier, and I'm going to eventually upgrade the coils, but I've just kept the copper nickel coils right now since that's what we had. Another thing I've been putting off for quite a while is actually a rubber coating method. Right now we're just using regular rubber to coat wire, but I'd like to switch it out for Styrene-Butadiene Rubber. So just a quick reminder, just in case you missed last episode, the reason we're doing this is to avoid the extra platinum foil cost when using regular rubber. Whereas if we switch out to Styrene-Butadiene Rubber, we don't have to pay the extra cost of the foil. And this applies to the tungsten and tungsten steel cables, all the higher tier basically. So we're going to need this in order to upgrade our power situation anyway. So to make Styrene-Butadiene Rubber, we have to combine sulfur and the pulp. And to make this pulp, it's a lot of different chemicals, most of which we actually already have. So we need butadiene, styrene and oxygen. Thankfully, we actually do already have some butadiene in our system. We are getting this from our distillation tower. So, which just leaves the styrene, which is made from ethylene and benzene. And I think actually both of these we should have. Oh yeah, we've got maximum ethylene, and we also have a little bit of benzene. So this is going to take, what, 1, 2, 3 chemical reactors? Yeah, let me grab the materials and then let's set up Styrene-Butadiene, finally. So I got some materials for Styrene-Butadiene, and I was just double checking our distillation tower, and I noticed it actually hadn't been running in quite a while, as these outputs have been blocked. So to fix that, I added a trash can on lower priority, and made sure to set round robin disabled on these outputs. Which is why I think the benzene was actually so low on fluids, and it looks like we're actually capped on ethylene as well. So to fix that, I'm going to add ethylene to our overflow trash filter here. So any excess ethylene that goes into the interface won't block it up, and it will just go into the trash can. And this again is on lower priority than our main fluid storage. And while I'm here, I noticed that our radon had also stopped, so I just added a quantum tank just to add some extra buffer, as we're going to need it later on in the assembly line, I think it is. So yeah, now the question is, where do we want to put this styrene setup? We are kind of running out of space in these corridors, and I would like to keep this little space here for things which go in the blast furnace. So I think here is going to be a decent spot for it actually. So the first step for us then is to combine the benzene ethylene, which we're pulling from our main applied energetics system. We have fluid conduit with filters on the inserts here. And we also get a hydrogen byproduct, which I'm just going to throw out here. And that leaves us with the styrene, which we are then going to mix with oxygen and butadiene. Both of these we're also just getting from the fluid interface. And this gives us the rubber dust, which we have to then mix with sulfur. So we can just take sulfur from our ME system. I've hooked up another interface just connected to our fluid one. And then the outputs go into the bottom side of this chemical reactor, where we have a limited item filter for 1 stack of each, just to make sure the inputs don't get jammed with one or the other dust. And yeah, that gives us our Styrene-Butadiene Rubber. That was actually a bit easier than what I thought it would be. I guess we already have the distillation step done, which is probably the harder part of doing this. So it was just a matter of mixing all the chemical reactions together. As for the output fluid, we're just going to store this in our ME system, so we'll partition our fresh drive, and we'll give it a name. So I was considering reusing this assembler that we're using for rubber to coat cable, but I think I'll just actually add a new one. And that way we can keep the recipes that we can use rubber in and just use rubber, since it is basically free. And the ones which require styrene-butadiene will go in their own separate one. So there's a fresh EV assembly machine. And this we're just going to set up exactly like all the other ones. Auto output on the top, interface, fluid interface with a pump on the side. And we're done. So with that out of the way, let's look into building this uranium hexafluoride setup, which does require this multi-block here. It looks like titanium and what is this, nichrome. So to make the machine controller, I've just been putting in recipes for everything. I've been encoding everything so that we can easily make more if we need to. And for this I noticed we're missing gear recipes. We don't have any way to make gears, so we're going to make a fresh extruder here. And this one we're going to dedicate just for making gears. Although unfortunately we have run out of channels here. Maybe we'll have to combine these fluid interfaces together. Yeah, it's not going to look as clean, but I think it's the better of the two options that we have. So yeah, instead we'll just use one. We'll put all three fluids that we need in for these machines, and we'll just insert with conduits with fluid filters instead, and that just saves the channel in here. And that way we should have enough channels on this dense conduit to power all of these interfaces. And now we can request our gears. So now our machine controller is fully auto-craftable, and this is kind of the general philosophy I've been following since I set this auto-crafting up. Is just, if we know we're going to need more than one of these things, it's better just to set up the infrastructure while we're crafting it. Yeah, let me gather up all the rest of these materials and we'll be back to set this up, assuming we don't run into any roadblocks along the way. So I have all the materials we need except for 3 empowered emeradic crystal blocks, which take the empowered emeradic, which takes mana pearls, flawless emeralds, and emeradic crystals. We haven't actually made these yet, but we have all the components for these. The flawless emeralds we have up to 1500 from our ore processing, and the emeradic crystals we're getting from the crystal blocks on the orbital miner. So it's not something we can't create, I just thought I would show it since it's the first time we've made these crystals. Alright, so now to actually build this thing, I think we're going to stick it on this side of our base, next to our diesel generators. At least this one, unlike the diesel generator, is actually an even number, so we can center this. Although, is it 4? No, it's 3 wide. But placing this preview is always, it's always very challenging. I can't actually see what I'm doing here. Let me try to center this. Alright, this again. Apparently we're still missing structure. It's probably my fault, but these modular machineries are not looking very modular. Oh man, okay, let me figure this out. It was my fault, we're just missing the blueprint. So yeah, we are however getting this message for a bigger fluid output. I did only have the, I think this is the LV version. It looks like we're going to need to upgrade that. But this also does take the mechanism lasers in this side, the 2 sides here. That'll break blocks actually. Let's be careful with what we're doing here. There we go. So now we have to deal with the inputs, which is hexafluoride. So we have to set this chemical process up. So for this we're going to need some uranium-235 dust, which I have actually started processing through our ore processing system. I'll need to actually do something about that though, because I don't think it's made it all the way through yet. Yeah, let's try to get some of this through so that we can at least get the system built today. So we'll take some crushed and we'll lock it into one of the slots of this modular storage. I guess we'll take out the redstone. So that'll give it a slot for uranium. In fact, we'll give it more than one. Then from here we'll lock it into the ore washers. And then from here it's just a straight shot down, all the way down until it gets into dust, which is what we're after. But yeah, for this hexafluoride we're also going to need hydrofluoric acid, which actually is quite easy in this pack. Normally fluorine is quite difficult to make, but we obviously have the chicken, so yeah, I remember in Omnifactory I think I'd done biotite for fluorine. So let's get a centrifuge and then chemical reactor for this step. And then one more for the hexafluoride. Alright, I think I've got all the materials. We're going to put it on this side of the room, opposite our new chemical reactor setup over there. And it's fairly close to the photo fission chamber. But I think we'll still be supplying the final output via applied energistics anyway, so technically it doesn't actually matter where we put this thing. So yeah, we're going to give it some power with a CEU, hook it up with some Inderium cable. Wait, I always get these backwards. We need the CEF here. There we go, now it's getting power. And the first step is to put our roosts down. Yeah, we can put them here. So fluorine chicken's going to give us our fluorine that we need. This does also give calcium dust though, which I think we're just going to trash, to be honest. So we'll just item auto output on the bottom side. So from here we have to chemical react that with hydrogen. And to do that we're just going to pull this from our ME system. We may have to double check we're actually making enough hydrogen. We may have to bolster that a little bit, but that's easy enough with the chickens anyway. So we can just import this with a fluid conduit. But we will also have to plug this in if we can find some channels down here. And because we are auto outputting the items, it means we can't auto output fluids to this side. Or actually, what we could do is use a conveyor module on the bottom side, set this to export all the items, and then we can use the auto output on the feature on the machine itself to auto output the fluids. And that way we can put our fluorine in the chemical reactor. This gives us hydrofluoric, and the last step is to combine that with our uranium-235 dust. I probably should have centered this one more, shouldn't I? Yeah, I don't really want these machines off-center. Let me move everything over to the right one block. Okay, everything's been moved over, it's all nice and centered now. But yeah, we want to auto-output the fluids from this chemical reactor into here, and then import uranium-235 dust here. Oh, looks like we already got some through our ore processing system. I wonder how much we have of that actually. Oh wow, we're already up to 570. And how much do we get per chemical reaction? 2000 hexafluoride, and we need what? 1 millibucket per 60,000 millibuckets of steam? Okay, I kind of overestimated the amount of uranium we need. Yeah, we're going to be absolutely fine for uranium. But yeah, we have to import this into here. Now then, is there any reason we don't want to turn all of our uranium into hexafluoride? I was having a quick look at some of the uses for the ingots, and I don't actually see anything here. It's all just like tools and optional stuff. Although it's possible that I am missing something. Yeah, I don't see anything, so I think what we're going to do is just import this straight into our system. So same as before, we'll just partition this, and we'll give it its name. Oops, that's not how you spell it. So now we can just output the hexafluoride from this chemical reactor on the fluid conduit back into this interface. And I think we can call this setup done. Just have to put a little facade around this. So yeah, now we need to get that fluid into here. And also I think this needs water as well. Yeah, we have to supply this with water. And we'll need some way of powering these lasers. To be able to transport all of the steam and water that we have to move around, I think we're going to look into using fluid laser relays. I was looking at these before, which took tungsten, which is why we weren't able to make them. But we have up to 511 pieces of tungsten right now. I may have to adjust the blast furnace settings for this to allow us to keep a little bit more, as some of it is getting turned into tungsten steel. And the atomic alloy, I batch crafted this ages and ages ago, and we still have 15, which is enough to get us started here. And it looks like that was also a quest even. At some point we have to go through these quests, because I'm sure I'm missing some quite decent rewards from this. Oh, it gives us some flux, that's always useful. So yeah, I think we're just going to use these spectre coils that I got from the dungeon. These just generate 128 RF per tick, just out of thin air, so I hope that should be enough. I don't actually know how much power this uses. This is measured in kilojoules, and I don't actually know the conversion between RF. If we have to upgrade them, we can upgrade them. Yeah, so one of these has to be water, and the other one has to be hexafluoride. So I got all the inputs hooked up here. This is for our hexafluoride, which we're just inputting via Ender Fluid Conduit. And then over here we have the water input, which I think we will have to upgrade since we're just using the one aqueous accumulator. And I don't think this will be able to keep up with our input here, which is why I've also changed this to a fluid laser relay. So that is our photo fission nuclear chamber up and running. We do have to still upgrade the output port, of course, but now let's look into how we're actually going to generate power, which is through the large steam boilers. Or not boilers, turbines I mean. And I'm not sure exactly how many of these we're going to make. I think for now I'll just start with the one, import all the recipes so that it's easy to make more. Just to get a feel of how it works and how many of we're going to need. Alright, we got the controller block and the quest. I wonder if that gives us any parts for it. Not really. So technically I think we were supposed to make this along with the diesel engine. Or it's an alternative power source at EV tier. But before we would have been using these large steel boilers to produce steam instead of the uranium hexafluoride, which obviously can provide much more steam. And I think these are capable of actually outputting LUV power, which is what we're looking for. So we're going to need a bunch of inputs, outputs, steel turbine casings, and a rotor holder. We also need to look into the rotor materials, but let's build this multi-block first of all. Or maybe let's not. So I was assuming since this is steel turbine casings, it was just regular steel that we need. It turns out that it's actually blue steel frames and magnesium plates. And I don't know if we can make magnesium yet. Is this... How difficult is this? Magnesium aluminium? Well, I know we have a lot of aluminium here, but magnesium, I don't know... we have 494. And also, this blue steel ingot is not the same as the other blue steel ingot that we made at LV. Right, this LV version is either lapis or lazurite dust with steel. And this can be done in the alloy smelter. But the blue steel we're after is this blast furnace version, which has to be made from steel dust, black steel, rose gold, and then that has to be put in the blast furnace. So maybe we won't get this today, but let's try to set up blue steel and get this going in its own blast furnace. So that hopefully by next episode we can come back and upgrade our power and then our ore processing systems. But at least we got the bulk of the infrastructure for this setup. You're going to stay here until we have the rest of the parts. So this blue steel is actually going to be quite an involved process here. And in Omni Factory I actually did this passively since we would need so much of this stuff. And I'm not sure if it's wise to do that here. It probably is, to be honest. So yeah, you know what, let's do it. Let's get blue steel on passive, and that way we'll also have black steel and also brass. We're not producing brass or rose gold. So let's start at the top with the rose gold. So for the rose gold, I've set up a bunch of crafters here. And I've also hooked up a interface with copper and gold dust. And then in this first crafter, we're going to craft rose gold dust from the copper and the gold. Cool, so this will give it both the dusts it needs. We'll have to give this some power. So that's step one done. The next one is brass, which is just zinc and copper. So we can do the exact same thing on this crafter here. Alright, and that is brass being automatically produced. The next step is going to be black steel, which means we need steel dust, and right now we're only producing steel ingots. So I think for this we're just going to make a pulverizer here, and then import steel ingots into that. Alright, so I've just made this at LV. This doesn't need to be particularly fast at all. And to power this we've got a CEU in the back. I'm going to move this over, just so we can power both. Oh, I done it again. This has to be a CEF. There we go, now we're getting power. And in the bottom here, we're just going to import steel ingots. Alright, and that's going to give us our steel dust. I think that's also another part of blue steel dust. Yeah, we need it in the steel dust form also for blue steel. But this black steel also takes nickel and black bronze. So the nickel we're already producing, but we have to set up a crafter for black bronze. So I think we'll use the third one here for that. So let me set the filters on that one. Okay, so filters are set. We got the silver, copper, gold in here. This is going to make us our black bronze. And I think that actually might be the last component of our blue steel. Yeah, so the last one is just going to put all that together into blue steel dust. But to get the ingredients in this one, I think we're going to expose these outputs to our ME system, so that we can use these not just in this process. So like for example, we need rose gold for other stuff. So if we were to just keep it isolated to this conduit network, it means that our ME system can't access it anywhere else. Oh, I wonder what that is over there. So yeah, to fix that, we're going to put storage buses on here set to extract only, so that it can pull out the rose gold and we can use this anywhere else in our base. And same goes with black bronze and brass here. So yeah, by doing it like this, we have filtered storage buses set to extract only. I put one on the macerator for the steel dust as well. And then each of the crafters have their own. And we're just connecting this one using some ME conduit to share the block space. And all we have to do is plug all of these in. And now we just have to add these items for the blue steel into our interface provider here. Oh, wait a second here. We're missing a crafter. I forgot about the black steel dust. I'm getting myself a bit confused here. Let me fix this, and then I'll be back when it's finished. Okay, we got all the filters set here. I added the extra crafter. So just a quick recap here, where all of these crafters are all filtered on their inserts, and then we have storage buses on the back with extract only, and also they all should be partitioned. So the first one makes us rose gold, second one brass, the third one is black bronze, the fourth one is black steel, and the fifth one is blue steel. And then the macerator is for steel dust. I did get confused more than once with this blue steel dust and black bronze. Yeah, there's too many dusts here. But anyways, the final product is this blue steel, which is what we're after. And this we have to put in the blast furnace. So I think we'll set up a separate blast furnace just for this. And I think right here is going to be a good spot for it. Alright, so our blast furnace is set up. I have put the inputs and outputs on the filters. We're just running this at HV, but we may have to overclock this as we do need a fair bit of this blue steel. But we will also level limit this, otherwise it's going to just keep making blue steel, and that is copper and silver and gold and all this stuff. And I think we'll configure this blue steel blast furnace to 256. Below 256 blue steel ingots, this will automatically cook us some more. But yeah, that is going to take some time in that blast furnace there before we can get our turbine. But as I mentioned, setting it up like this also gives us access to all these resources that we can use. And thinking about this some more actually, we probably could have done this in fewer crafters, but it's done now, all the filters are set, so it's not going to get changed. But yeah, I feel like we made lots of progress today actually. But this is running a bit long, so I think we'll wrap things up here. Next time we're going to come back and finish off this power gen system, and then upgrade our ore processing, and then from there, I think we're fully into the IV tier. We may have to set up some extra processing for the next tier of circuits, so I think that might also be something we look at next time as well. But yeah, things are coming along here. I'm really liking this base. I'm not sure if I prefer it over my Omnifactory base though. I'm still kind of undecided. They're two very different bases. Obviously this one has magic, whereas Omnifactory was purely GregTech. But let me know what you guys think. What base do you prefer, this one or the Omnifactory series? Anyways, with that I think we'll call it here. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more FTB interactions.